All right. Good morning, good evening, everyone. Let's continue with our yesterday's discussion. All right. So quickly, I'll recap what we covered yesterday, and then post that we can continue our technical discussion in continuation to the yesterday's where we stopped. We started with the understanding of course curriculum, what this course contain, and what are the topics we'll be covering in this course. Again, if you are missed my yesterday session, please feel free to go and then watch that recordings. I uploaded it to my YouTube channel. Quickly take a look here, take a glance on course curriculum here. We started with the explanation of each and every topic in yesterday's session. So this is pretty much contains from the scratch till advanced level. Everything will be covered in this course. So you can have a look on this blog link here. I'll ping in the chart here. If needed, you can go through it once again. So post that, we started with the understanding of course curriculum, course content, and the course fees, course timing, and course duration. And in a short note, this course is on a weekday batch, 2 days in a week, Monday and Tuesday in IST, and Sunday and Monday in EST time zone, and 3 hours each of these days. Monday 3 hours and Tuesday 3 hours. 8:30 a.m. IST to 11:30 a.m. IST. In EST time zone, it will be Sunday and Monday. That will be late night for them. 10 p.m. EST to 1 a.m. EST. 3 hours uh, of those 2 days. And then we should be able to complete in 7 weeks. And this is the paid training. The course fees is 10,000 Indian rupees or 125 US dollar. We'll be conducting over a Zoom session, the live classes, and then we'll be covering on 19th version. Right, post that we talked about WhatsApp group. So as I mentioned yesterday, we have already added a couple of students who are registered a week back into the WhatsApp group, and I shared all the Google Drive access. So we did received some of the registration yesterday after the demo session. So I'm gonna add them maybe after today's demo session. I'm gonna add who are registered yesterday and today. I'll add them into WhatsApp group and I'll grant the access on the Google Drive. So the Google Drive link, you'll be getting access on 4 Google Drive links. So this is only for registered student. Again, these links will be for will be accessing throughout this course. The link one will be for course material. I already shown in yesterday's session. Link two will be for all the softwares and entry questions and other information. And link three will be for previous recordings, previous batch recordings. Again, this is intention is you can watch them in advance. You can prepare yourself before attending the live classes so that you can ask more questions during the live classes. And at parallelly, we'll be recording current batch, current recording, current sessions, and then will be uploaded into Google Drive. That will be found in the link 4. Right, that's a quick intro about the Google Drive links, and I also opened and showed all these navigations. So important or beauty about these recordings is along with the recordings, I'll be uploading the notepads, right? Whatever the commands I'm running it on my lab, all the commands will be captured into notepad and uploaded along with the videos so that you can watch the recordings and parallelly you can open the notepad and you can practice it by running the same commands, right? And again, post that we talked about the payment method. There are many payment methods. You can ping me on my cell number or WhatsApp number. I'm gonna ping this cell number and WhatsApp number in the chat here. You can take a note. There are many options: Google Pay, Phone Pay, bank transfer, and UPI or international transfer, wire. So I'll guide you through what are the payment method. If you have any doubts, you can ping me on my cell number and WhatsApp number, or call me on my cell or WhatsApp number. I'll assist you further on the payment processing. All right, post that we also talked about what are the minimum requirement, who can attend this course, and Again, just a simple definition. Everyone can attend this course. If you are a beginner entering into this DBA world, or you are already having 1 year, 2 year, or 5 years, 10 years of experience, doesn't matter. You still go ahead and enroll for this course because this course is contains from the scratch till advanced level. It will be suitable for everyone. So again, basics of Linux, Windows, and SQLs. If you know that, it's well and good. If not, if needed, I can cover some of the basic sessions on a weekend basis, as I mentioned earlier, or as I mentioned in yesterday's demo session. So also we have a couple of documents in our Google Drive. In the Google Drive link one, we have already few of the basics about the Linux, Windows, and SQLs. You can practice them in advance along with the course so that you can be able to catch up the content whatever I'm teaching. Right, and then we'll be setting up of lab on your laptop or desktop. So you should have minimum 10 GB RAM and 100 GB hard disk so that you can open your labs and you can practice on your own. Right, and then we talked about your instructor details. So that is about me. I'm the one who will be conducting this course end to end. I just gone through brief intro about me. Hope you're already aware of what I am and what I'm doing and what are the areas of expertise. Right. So, and then also we covered about certifications, how important to have this Oracle certifications, and then what is the impact on the cloud, what is the impact of cloud, what is the impact of AI on the DBA roles. Absolutely, there won't be much impact. There is a minimal impact of 5 to 10%, but remaining 90% DBA roles, DBA job remain as it is, no changes at all. So we should be always up to date, learn all these new technologies as and when it comes, so that you will be up to date in the market and your resume will be strong in the market and it will be getting shortlisted for any opportunities. Right, and then as a DBA, we should must complete the DBA certificate and RAC certificate because those are the fundamental certificate for any technologies or any advanced technologies you learn like OEM or Golden Gate or Exadata or Supercluster or EBS. Whatever you learn, all of them are based upon your standalone database or RAC database. For that, we should complete your standalone certificate. That's a OCP certificate and RAC certificate. All right. So after that certificate, we started with some technical discussion, and we started with the understanding of database architecture. We started with understanding of what is standalone versus rack and what are the advantages. Right. Then we wrapped up yesterday's session. So I'll continue further discussion on these topics. So I'll take a pause here for a minute to take any questions or queries if you have it. And I did got lot of pings yesterday after the demo session. Many people started and asking about I don't have a laptop. I have a laptop with only 4 GB RAM. I have a laptop with only 8 GB RAM. So please understand you should have minimum of 10 GB RAM and minimum of 100 GB hard disk. Then only you will be able to set up your lab and then you can do a lab exercise. If you don't meet this minimum requirement, so you'll not be able to set up your lab. And also a couple of students asked me, so I don't have a laptop. I don't have a laptop with this configuration. Can I still proceed with this course? Again, it is all depending upon you. My sincere advice is if you don't have a laptop, if you enroll for this course, it is good. You can grasp, you can grasp or you can understand the topics when I am explaining it. But after that, within a 3 4 days, within a week, you will be able to easily forget those concepts. Once you do a hands-on lab exercise, then only you will remember the concept forever. So for that point, if you have a laptop, then you can go ahead and enroll this course. And if you don't have a laptop and you will not be able to do a hands-on, still you want to continue this course, it is your wish, you can continue. But again, as I mentioned, you will be able to get the things, you will be able to understand the things when I'm explaining it, when I'm showing the demo. But if you don't do hands-on, then you can easily forget those things. So because of that factor, please make arrangement of your laptop or desktop before enrolling this course. And moreover, if you are looking at the interviews perspective, like, I'm looking for a change, I'm trying to get a new job, I want to complete this course in a fast phase manner, and I want to watch the recording. That's enough for me for now. Later, once I purchase the laptop or desktop in upcoming days, I can practice it. Then in that case, go ahead and then register for this course. You can crack the interview, and parallel you can try to arrange your own laptop or desktop. First, once you have your hardware, then you can practice the whatever sessions I conducted, whatever the recordings you have it, watch them, and you can practice that. All right. With that, let's take a pause here if you have any questions before we continue with our technical discussion. Right? Any more questions, guys? So far, what I covered or whatever we covered yesterday. All right. I'll take it as a no. All right. Let's continue. Uh, as we talked yesterday about a database architecture, and we explained about what database architecture contains. In a simple definition, a database architecture is the instance plus database. And again, if you ask what is instance and what is database, instance is a logical structure, database is a physical structure. And this instance, which is logical structure, which is made up of memory and background process. And again, this memory internally contains SGA and PGA. SGA stands for System Global Area or Shared Global Area. PGA stands for Program Global Area or Private Global Area. And this background process contain mandatory and non-mandatory background process. Again, inside SGA, there are so many subcomponent. Inside PGA, again, so many subcomponent. Inside SGA, DBA buffer cache, log buffer cache, shared pool, large pool, Java pool, stream pool. And inside DB buffer cache, keep pool, recycle pool, NK buffer pool. Again, I just given one word definition yesterday, but in our regular class, we'll go deep dive. What are these? And we'll explain more. Inside PGA, we have stack space, bitmap, bit tree area, sort area, cursor area, UGA, user global area, temp area. So many sub memory components inside PGA. And then that is about your memory, SJ and PGA. So background process, mandatory, non-mandatory background process. There are so many, plenty of mandatory and non-mandatory background process. SMON, PMON, checkpoint, log writer, DB writer, those are mandatory background process. Non-mandatory background process, few examples, archiver, recoverer, MON, MM, NL, so many other background processes. Right? Again, I given a one-word definition what SMON, PMON, checkpoint, DB writer, log writer will do in our yesterday session. But again, in our regular classes, we'll explain more in details and we'll give some write-up what exactly it will do. But for now, it is enough for one word definition what we given yesterday. Right, that is so far is our instance memory and background process. Database is a physical structure, that's a physical files, the end user data or end user files. Database is a physical structure which is the data file or backend storage or end user data or backend files, whatever you can call it. System, sysocs, user, temp, undo, all your data files. So that is not enough. Along with this physical and logical structure, my database or my database instance has some other files like SP file, P file, password file, control file, redo log files, arcalog files. Those are also physical files which are again supported file for my database operation. And my database administration and troubleshooting, we have so many other files like alert log files, trace files, TRM file, incidents files, code dump files, audit files. Those are other supporting diagnostic files or troubleshooting files for my database health or my database instance health. Right? Those all supported files and other diagnostic files we will explain in our regular classes, and we'll go in deep dive about each and every supported files. As a quick update here, if I say other database or instance supported file, you can just think of a P file or SP file. Again, we have a single definition what is P file, what is SP file. P file is a text file, SP file is a binary file. You can edit and open this file. You cannot edit and open this file because it's a binary. And it is called a key value pair, which contains a key and an associated value. Right, and then where they are located, what is their naming convention, we'll explain in our regular classes. So these are other supporting file, P file, SP file, password file. Again, what is password file? What's the use of that? Where it is located? What is the naming convention? And what it holds? What is there inside? And then we have redo log files, and we have archive log files, and then we have control files. So this is other supporting files for my database and database instance. So now you can talk about other diagnostic files or administration file. So we have alert log, we have trace files or TRM file, we have incident file, we have audit files, we have code dump file. Right, these are your diagnostic files, or you have you administrative files, or you can call it as a health check files. If anything happens to my database or database instance, any one of these will be get generated. We have to review those files and then understand what happened to my database and database instance. Again, where they located, what's the use of these all files? Again, we'll explore in our regular admin classes, because if I try to explain each of these files now, it'll be too much, and you'll not be able to catch up, because first you need to understand architecture, fundamentals, and then you have to go by step, right? So this all together will constitute your database architecture and database administration and database monitoring and database health check. Right? Having said that, let's go further deep dive. What's the difference? What's the difference between Oracle database versus other database? Let's take other database, SAP HANA database, IBM DB2 database, MS SQL with Microsoft MS SQL, and MySQL, and MongoDB, PostgreSQL DB, or Informix, or so many databases. So what is difference when compared to your database in Oracle? So other database will follow single instance, multiple database architecture, whereas Oracle will follow single instance and single database architecture. Meaning, let's say I have this server here, lab one, let's put at the lab one, same server. Let's say if you have other database here, and then you have this Oracle database here. So other database architecture looks like when you install your instance, there will be instance here. Let's say it's a SAP HANA instance or DB2 instance or MySQL or MongoDB or PostgreSQL. There's an instance, and that instance is mapped to multiple databases. Database 1, database 2, database 3, database 4. Let's say this is your development database, this is UAT, this is pre-prod, and this is test database. The client can connect to instance, and then he can go to the respective database. The client one who try to access development database, they can connect to instance and it will go to respective development database. The client two want to connect to test database, again they will connect to instance via instance, connection will go to that respective test database. Like it's a one-to-many, one instance, many databases are mapped here for the other database. Whereas in Oracle, one instance mapped with only one database. It's always one-to-one mapping. Client 1 can connect to instance and access that database. Client 2 can connect to instance and access the database. It's always one-to-one. If you want to create a development database, and there will be development instance. You want to create your test database, there will be test instance. You want to create your UAT database, and there will be UAT instance. So if you have 100 databases, then there will be 100 instances in Oracle. It's a one-to-one mapping. Right, again, we'll once you start with the installation, you'll understand more. Let's say here example, one instance can serve multiple databases. Whereas in Oracle, if you want to serve multiple databases, they should have multiple instances separately installed. So because of this architecture here, Oracle is like one instance and one database. All other databases in the world will follow single instance and multiple database mapping. To support this single instance and multiple databases, Oracle came up with this new concept called multi-tenant architecture. Again, if you go here, that is one of our topic. Where is that? Right here. Chapter number 10 will be covering about this multi-tenant architecture in details. What exactly this multi-tenant architecture? This multi-tenant architecture is nothing but to support this single instance and multiple database support. What that mean? Oracle will follow its own architecture like single instance and single database. We call it as a CDB. So inside that CDB, Oracle will support virtual databases. We call them as a PDBs. Oracle has followed its own architecture. Also, Oracle has supported that single instance with multiple database support like other database architecture. So you can think of like one single instance, that is your CDB instance, and that is having main database, single database called CDB, and that CDB internally has multiple databases. Let's you can visualize like this. You have instance, that instance is mapped to your database, and this is your instance, and this database is called CDB database. CDB stands for container database. And then inside this CDB database, you can have multiple virtual databases. Database 1, database 2, database 3, and database 4. These are called your PDBs or virtual databases. Virtual databases are PDB, nothing but pluggable databases. So like whatever the other technologies they're giving one instance mapped to multiple databases here, right? You can see multiple databases mapped to one instance, but it's not direct mapping. Always Oracle will be one instance with mapped to one database. But inside that database, you can create a multiple virtual database called PDBs. So when we go with that chapter number 10, multi-tenant architecture, we'll explain more about that. But this is the latest technologies what came up with latest what architecture what Oracle has came up with this in 12C onwards, and this architecture is going to be permanent for forever. 21C onwards, as I mentioned yesterday, starting with the 21C onwards, it's always multi-tenant architecture, no normal database architecture. Right. Now, quick few more things about this. In 7i, 8i, 9i, 10G, 11G, Oracle used to support this normal database architecture. In 12C onwards, Oracle has started with this multi-tenant architecture. So in 12C, 18C, 19C, Oracle support both architecture. You can either go with a normal database architecture or multi-tenant architecture. While creation of your database, you can choose normal database architecture like single instance, single database, or single instance, single database with virtual databases. That's our multi-tenant architecture. Both architectures are supported on these three versions. While creation of your database, you can choose what type of architecture you want it. And post 21C, 23C, 23AI, 26AI, it's always multi-tenant architecture. No more normal database architecture. It's always single database, single instance, single database plus virtual database must. There's no concept of single instance and single databases. That's called your normal architecture. That is not there anymore. All right, so that's a quick comparison between other database versus Oracle and the quick update about database architecture with the supported other files and diagnostic files. I'll take a pause here if anyone has any questions so far. Again, it's a too advanced, it's a too early. And if you ask me to explain about stream pool, large pool, or checkpointer SMON, I can give one word definition as I explained earlier yesterday. But if you go in depth, you need to understand step by the architecture. So if you ask me what is the use of alert log, again the name itself suggests it's a diagnostic file, administrative file. All these files are required each and every DBA. We are going to review these files if anything happens to my database. Diagnostic files or the administrative files or your database health check files. And if you ask me what is password file, again it's too early. So password file is basically a physical files which contain your sysdba password. And what's the purpose of that? It's mainly having two advantages. One is remote authentication for your sysdba user. And whenever you have primary and standby, you need to have a same password file across your primary and standby in order to make your standby sync. Again, if you ask what is the archelog, what is redo log, once you go step by step understanding the architecture, then only you will understand in depth. If I give one word definition, then those will not be helpful at this point. Right at the same time here, what is this multi-tenant architecture in a single definition? If you think of the, if you visualize this, that's more than enough. But how it handles, how we can connect to CDB, how we can connect to PDB, how we can create a user inside that, again, that has to go step by step. Hope that's all clear. Let's continue. Right now, what I'll cover some fundamental basics. A very simple question: how how to connect to your database or how to connect to your database instance. So very first thing you will check who is the owner of your database or database instance. So if I go to my lab here, I'll run this ps-af grep smon. I'll get to know, okay, my database instance is devdb, which is owned by Oracle. And then after that, you log into that respective owner. If it's a Oracle or Oraprod or Malik, who are the owner of that, you have to understand who is the owner of that by running this ps command. Once you understand the owner, you log into that respective owner. Once you log in, you'll be having logged in with Oracle user. And post that, you're going to run this .orinv. Once you run this .orinv environmental variable, you're going to ask what is your Oracle SID, system identifier number. So DB is my Oracle SID. So once you set this environment variable, you can run this env grep ora to verify whether environmental variables are set or not. SQL plus devdb, your Oracle base. What is Oracle base? What is Oracle home? Again, we'll explain in our regular classes. With SID base home, everything set properly, fine. So you can run this SQL plus shdba, which will connect your SQL command prompt, or it will be connect to your database instance. You can query your database. Right, same thing. If I go to second lab here, same operations, run this smon, your plus ASM and test DB. So who is the owner? Oracle is the owner. SC Oracle, and after that run this .orinv. And then what is your SID? Here SID is test DB. So again verify environmental variables are set. or not by running this env. Your SID, Oracle base, Oracle home, all are set. Run your SQL plus SSDBA. You're going to connect your database instance, that is a test DB. So now, next question, we talked about this one. My database either run under OS file system or my database run under ASM file system. So if I open yesterday's note here, my database can run this one here. We talked about this yesterday. Standalone without ASM, standalone with ASM. That's Oracle Lab 1, Oracle Lab 2, DevDB, TestDB. DevDB is running under OS file system. TestDB is running under ASM file system. By running this ps-app grep smon, I can able to identify whether it's running on ASM or OS file system. If I run here ps-app grep smon, I can see test database along with plus ASM. That 99% confirms my test database is running under ASM. Whereas on this lab 1, ps-app grep smon, it shows only devdb, meaning the devdb is running under OS file system. However, you can still verify by connecting to database and by running this command. Select name from VDollar database or VDollar data file. If I run this here, it will start with a slash. Anything start with a slash, that will be your OS file system. Anything start with a plus, that will be your ASM file system. If I run here on the test database, it will say plus data, meaning your test database is running under ASM storage. Right. And the next question, next question, how to access these data files or the physical location. If it is non-ASM, using CD command, let's say lab 1, which is non-ASM, I can directly copy that path and I can exit from here. I can directly go CD into that location and do ls-ltr. I can able to see those all physical files of my database. And if it's a ASM storage, I should have ASM utility. Right? As I showed yesterday, I had to go here and now I need to run the same .env. I need to set it to plus ASM. And if I verify by running this env command, plus ASM, Oracle base, Oracle home is your ASM home or the grid home. I need to run this ASM cmd -p. They're gonna go into ASM command line. Now you can CD into that location and then do ls now here. Inside that ASM command line utility, I can see those same data files. So that's gonna help me now. Next question. How to connect your ASM storage. So you have to run this ps-app smon. Understand who is the owner of your ASM. ASM is owned by Oracle again. Or it may be sometimes grid user is your ASM owner. You have to log into that respective owner, either a grid or Oracle. After login, run this .orenv. After you run this .orenv here, set your environment variable to plus ASM. After that, you can verify env grep ora. That will tell you whether you set the proper environment variable or not. Once you verified, then run this ASM cmd-p. That's gonna go into your ASM command line, and then you can CD into that location and do ls. You're gonna get all the data files belong to the database. Right. Um. Now, little bit if I go further, hope that is clear. Any questions so far? Right. If no question, I can continue now. Now, what I can say, yesterday we talked about, if I open yesterday's note, I talked about this ASM, Automatic Storage Management, provided by Oracle. That will come up with your ASM instance and ASM storage. We just talked about how to connect your ASM storage. So we are, as I mentioned, ASM basically provides you two advantages or two concepts when you talk about ASM. One is ASM instance and one is ASM storage. So we just talked about how to connect to ASM storage. Now maybe you can think of second point and the first point, how to connect to ASM instance. So we just talked about ASM storage, how we can connect using ASM command line. Same thing here, to connect your ASM instance will be same, ps-f grep smon, log into that respective ASM owner, whether it's a grid or oracle, whoever the owner, log into that, set the environment variable, grep environment variable. Let's say if I go here, log out. So now I'll gonna do the same thing. ps-f grep smon, my ASM is owned by oracle, log into that oracle user, su oracle, and then run this dot .env, and then my ASM environment variable is plus ASM, and verify whether environment variable is set or not. Right? It's a plus ASM, Oracle base, Oracle home, all set fine. Now, if you connect ASM cmd-p, they're gonna go into your ASM storage. Instead of ASM command line, you can use SQL plus slash sys ASM. It's gonna connect to your ASM instance. So if you run SQL plus slash as sys DBA, they're gonna connect to your database instance. Where is that? Right. How to connect your database instance. Same process. Log into Oracle user, run that .env, verify your environment variable. SQL plus slash SysDBA, that will be connect your database instance. Whereas if you done SQL plus slash sysASM, that will connect your sysASM instance. So once you connect to ASM instance, you can manage, maintain ASM instance. When you connect your ASM command line, you can manage, maintain your storage. Once you connect to your SQL plus Assist DBA, that's going to connect to your database and you can manage and maintain your database. So here, if I again draw here, this is your lab 1 and this is your lab 2. So in this lab 1, what happens here? You have DevDB instance and then you have DevDB database. It's a one-to-one mapping. Any client will connect to this instance, DevDB instance, and via that DevDB instance, they can access to the DevDB database. Any new client comes, they can connect to instance. Via that, they can access their DB database. Whereas in this lab 2, we have same test DB instance, and that test DB instance has test DB database. And then any client connects test DB instance, they can access that test DB database. Any client comes, they can connect to that test DB instance. Via that, they can connect to test DB database. That looks good. In a visualization, both lab 1, lab 2, one instance, one database mapping looks good. But if you take a look here, this database running under OS file system, and here this database running under ASM file system. This is your OS file system, and this is your ASM file system. So this ASM file system, to manage that, we have ASM instance. This ASM instance can manage and maintain this ASM storage. Only your ASM instance can understand, read, write into this ASM storage. But how my database will understand? There is a communication between your database instance and your ASM instance. Database instance and ASM instance can communicate closely each other, and my ASM will grant database instance go and access this ASM storage. That is your ASMB background process. If I can show that one, if I go to my lab 2 here, ps-ef grep ASMB. Sorry, ASMB. If I say this ASMB background process, we have plus ASM, ASMB background process. We have test DB, ASMB background process. Those two background processes communicate each other, and then my database can able to read and write ASM storage. Whereas on my lab one, we don't have this ASMB background process because lab one, my dev database is running under OS file system. And also we talked about yesterday your database, why Oracle strongly recommends to run your database on ASM because it has a lot of advantages. Mirroring, striping, redundancies, external normal high, and Oracle restart feature we showed demo on yesterday. And then your high IO performance, read and write operation in your ASM. If your database running under ASM, that will be much more faster than database running under OS file system. All right. With that, now what we can say, so far we understood it's a one-to-one mapping. What is one-to-one mapping? One instance mapped to one database. These are the important points here. In Oracle, it's always one-to-one. One instance mapped to one database. Instance is logical and database is physical. That's what we saw here, right? These are your physical files. Those are your database data files. Again, you just visualize like this. This is your DB database, which is the physical one, and then this is your instance, which is a logical one. And again, instance meaning I just explained in earlier, it's a memory and BG process, background process, and the memory structure together will form my instance logical structure, and that will be mapped to my database, the physical file, system sysocks undo user temp. So, and I also mentioned, where is that? Where was that? Where was that? Okay, here. My database is a physical structure, which is nothing but data files. System, sysocks, undo, user temp, whatever these files we are seeing here. What are these files? These are data files or the storage files, end user data or the backend files. The end user, whatever connect to my database, let's say my client one connected and he created a table. He created a table called employee. This employee table has this structure. Employee ID, employee name, employee salary, and his position. Like employee ID 1, employee name is A, employee salary is 1000, and then he is a software engineer. So whatever this table he creates, that table data will be stored under these data files. So basically this table is going to reside under this database. So this client can directly connect to these data files and he can read the data, or the client can directly connect to database and write the data, insert one more employee record. There's no way client can directly connect to database. Client should always connect to instance. Via instance, they can access the database. To read the data, to write the data, or to insert the data, or to modify the data, they has to connect to instance only. If your instance is down, your client cannot access the database. Client cannot access the data files. Even though the table, all the table data, everything is there in these data files, the client cannot access the data files to read and write. They has to connect to instance only to query or to insert or to modify, to do any operations on the data. So as a DBA, we need to make sure that both instance and DB or database available 24/7. If your instance is available, database is not available, or database or the data files are deleted, or your data files are available and your instance is shut down, then no client or nobody can able to access your data. So that's one of our DBA job. So this instance has multiple options. Let's say to start that instance. So your instance versus database. So your instance has shut down. If your instance is shut down, your database also shut down. And your instance is in no mount and your database also in no mount. Your instance is in mount and your database also in mount. Your instance is in open and your database is in read write. So that is your instance versus database status. We need to make sure that your instance is in open mode, your database is in read write mode. So if I quickly, I'm going to kill this one, ps-ef. I'm going to kill this instance now for a quick demo. So instead of that, if it is no mount, I can say my database is not accessible, not available. Let's say quickly here, quick demo, ps-ef grep smon. So I'm just going to connect SQL plus /assist DBA connected to your database instance. It says idle instance, meaning your instance is down. I'm going to do startup, no mount. Or your instance is shut down. I want to check my instance status. Select instance underscore name, comma, what is instance status from $instance. It says you cannot query anything. Your Oracle is not available. This is for your instance query and database same way. Select name, comma, open underscore mode from database. Again, same issue. Oracle is shut down. Oracle is not available. Right, I'm going to check my instance status. What is the instance name? What's the instance status? What is my database name? What's the database mode? By running these two queries. So when my instance is shut down, my database is also shut down. That's what we're seeing here. Not available. I'm going to start it. Startup, no mount. I'm going to start my database instance. My database instance will get started in no mount. From shutdown to no mount. If I query this one, it says my database just started. It will be no mount, or you can think of started. Your instance status will be started, but your database is not yet opened. If you run this query, it will gonna say your database is not in open mode or not in mount mode. Your database status cannot be found when your instance is started. Now I'm gonna bring my database instance into mount state by running this command startup no mount and then alter database mount. Right, my database is now mounted. Now if I query the same status here, instance status, my database instance is mounted. What is my database status? My database devdb is mounted. Both my instance name is also devdb my database name is also DBA. You can change your instance name and database name as per your convenient, but 99% your instance name and database name remain same. So both are mounted. Right now, I'm going to do alter database open. Our database is got altered. So now you can run the same query. Your instance DB it says open, and you can run the database status. DB database, which is read write mode. Your instance will be in open mode, your database will be in read write mode. As a DBA, we need to make sure that my instance will be always in open mode, my database will be in read write mode. If your database is in any other state, read only or mounted, or your instance is like mounted or started or open mode, then it is not accessible to end user. So this is a final state. We need to make sure that my database and database instance are all open and read write mode. Then only end user can access it. Right. So now we navigated it from shutdown to no mount to open. So we have this architecture here from shutdown to no mount to mount, and mount to open. This is my typical database or database instance startup sequence. So we talked about here a couple of files. Where is that here? Other database supported files. So when you start your database instance from shutdown to no mount, you'll read SP file or P file. Whatever this SP file, P file will be read from shutdown to no mount, and your database instance will go from shutdown to no mount mode. And when we do this next command, where is that? After this startup no mount, when you do this alter database mount, you'll go from no mount to mount when you run this alter database mount. From this no mount to mount, it'll read the control file, and then it's gonna go into this mount mode. The control file is your other supporting file here, this control file. And then next, when you do from no mount to mount to open mode by running this command, alter database open, it will read all the data files and as well as your redo logs. Right, where is that? Here, your redo logs and archlogs. Archlogs are nothing but copy of your redo logs. Right, and then your database will get opened, your instance will get opened. In any of these in any of this case, I'm doing this, let's say I'm doing this startup no mount, my instance is not starting. What is the root cause for that? You're doing from shutdown to no mount, which is not working. The underlying root cause is your SP file, P files are missing. Right, my instance is started in no mount. I'm doing this second alter database mount, which is failing. What's the root cause? For in order to go from no mount to mount, you need a control file. Control files are missing. Okay, but this command is fine. I'm doing this alter database open. This command is failing. What's the root cause for that? Meaning I'm going from mount to open mode. I need these data files and read log files. If your data files and read log files are missing, this command will fail. So that is your typical database instance startup sequence and the respected startup modes and the respected required files in each stage. If any of these files are missing, then you cannot go further. You're gonna stuck at that point only. Hope that's clear. Right. Quickly, again, I'll go back here. I'll again show a few more files here. Connect to your database. I already connected here. Check SP file or P file location. So you can run this select or show parameter SP file. By running this command, you can able to see right. This is your under this Oracle home under the DBS location. You have this SP file. Ideally, typically your SP file start with your SP file, and you can give whatever the convenient name. Standard name will be SP file dbdb.ora. And then if your database is started with a P file, that will be init. This is your standard naming convention. Init dbdb.ora. So if your database is started with this init dbdb.ora, that's a P file. If your database started with the SP file dbdb.ora, that's your SP file. By running the show parameter SP file, you can get to know. And the second one is, again, what I'm talking is this one from SP file, P file, control file, and data file and read log files. So now the next point is check your control file location. And connecting to database, do select name from $, control file. I have two control files, control file 1 and control file 2. Again, this is called multiplexed control file. It's a basically duplicate copy of each. Whatever this control file 1, it should be a copy of this, or whatever this control file 2 is a copy of this. Why this multiplex control file? We'll talk in our regular classes. And then the check all data files. Select name from $, data file. Right? System sysocs undo user. Again, what is this system sysocs undo user temp? In our regular classes, we'll talk more. And now finally check all redo log files. Where is that one? Here. So SP file, P file done, control file done, data file done. Now redo log files. Select member from $, log file. So we have redo log 3, redo log 3. Again, this is called multiplex redo log. Similar copy, two copies. Redo log 2, redo log 2. Again, similar copy, two copies. One file deleted or corrupted, we have another healthy file. We have redo log 1, redo log 1. Two copies of redo log. Again, multiplex copy. Right. And now we have SP file, P file done. Post that control file. Post that your, put it here. Redo log done. Archive log. Redo log is your active logs, and this copy of redo logs are archive log. So regularly, if your database in archive log mode, whatever this redo log content will be copied as archive log and it will be located in separate location. By running this, if I do here, fourth one, archive logs. By running this archive log list and then show parameter recovery. By running these two commands, archive log list, show parameter recovery. The archive log list will tell you your database is in archive log mode enabled and your archive destination is recovery destination. So by doing this show parameter recovery, it will tell you what is your recovery destination. This is your recovery destination. So by going into that location, you should be able to see all your archive logs. Archive logs and with the today's date. So I can do lsfnltr. I can see all these archive logs are getting generated here, ending with this dot .arc. So these archive logs are nothing but copy of your read logs. Again, it will be too early if you ask me what is this archive log, what it contains, how it will generate. Once you go with our regular classes, you'll understand more. So by running this command, you can able to find where are your archive logs. So we got SP file, P file, control file, redo log files, archive log files, and finally a password file. So password file will be same under your Oracle Home U01 app, Oracle product 19C, DB Home 1 under DBS location. Password file. The password file will be under this Oracle Home DBS location with Ora PW DB. So this will be your password file. Ora PW is a standard naming convention followed by your instance name DB. If it's a test DB. Again, that's also binary file. I just explained earlier. Password file is very important for sysdb remote connection as well as your primary and standby sync. Right, those are your supported files for your database or database instance to operate. And along with that, we have this administrative or the diagnostic files. So you can connect back to your database and describe $diag underscore info, select name, comma, value from $diag underscore info. So what I'm talking about now, this other supported files, other diagnostic files. Inside database, if you run this name and value, again, when you run this command, it will be not in a proper formatted. So you can do set pages, lines, and then rerun this command. So you can get now proper format here. And else you can do column name format A40. So I'll be restricting only this 40, only this many characters. Or I can go with further more. I can go with the 25, only this much. So this value, I'll go with the column value format A 80 characters. Right, only 80 characters are limited here. Right now we got a proper format. This is the command what we ran. If I rerun it again, it will be now proper formatted output. So by looking at this one, we have this ADR base, ADR home, and diag trace. This is the trace files. If you go into this location, you have all the trace files, whatever I mentioned here, trace files. And we have this alert. We have all the alert information in this location. We have a diag incidents, all the database instance files. We have all the CDump, that's a core dump files, and health monitor, all the HM health monitor files, all the default trace for my database, and my database alert log will be on the same trace location. If you go into this location, you can see all. Like for a quick example, if I go here, CD into this location, ls-ltr, you can see all this There will be so many files. There will be a alert log file for your database. There will be trace file. There's the TRM file. Trace file is the text file. TRM is the binary file. And same, you can go to this alert location, incidents, dump. You have respective log files for your database, diagnostic files. If anything happens on your database, these are the files what we go and then take a look. All right. So that is a quick brief or intro about how your database and database instance, how the end user connection, how you can connect your database instance, ASM instance, ASM storage, and what's the difference between your database with ASM, without ASM, what are the advantages, and how you can brief if somebody asked about database architecture, and what is the supported files for your database and database instance, what are the diagnostic files, and how your instance and database will be visualized. And how about your multi-tenant architecture versus the other databases and Oracle databases? So I try to explain in brief in a compact manner. Hope that's all clear. And with that, I'm going to stop it for today. I'm not going to continue any technical discussion, provided if you have any questions so far. Anything about the course or the duration, timing, or the fee structure, or whatever the technical discussion, what we did, any question around this, feel free to unmute yourself and you can ask. Right?
Hi, this is Umashankar. I just wanted to know, like Google Drive access, how long duration we are going to access?
It's a lifetime
It's like
access. Lifetime access.
okay,
Even you can download those all content locally into your laptop. No
okay.
restriction on that.
Thank you.
Yeah. I see you ping me, Uma. Like I will just add you into WhatsApp group. I'll grant the access maybe in next few hours.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Yesterday, yeah, I paid that.
Right, right. Yeah. All right, guys. If no question, again, we'll wrap it up. Again, this is not end here. It is just a brief overview I wanted to give. Once we start our regular classes, we'll continue again from the scratch. We'll explain all these concepts in details one by one in our regular classes. All right. With that, let's take a break, guys. Let's continue in our regular classes. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Yeah. Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.